everyone, and welcome to Ireland. And sorry for the delay there. My major problem now is that you won't understand a word I'm saying, but tell me to slow down at stage if I'm talking too fast. Us Irish speak very quickly. So sorry for the issue there. It was a few technical issues, but we're grand and we're live now, and we hope you all enjoy cooking along this evening. So we're going to make a start because we just get straight to it, get cooking, and then we'll chat as we go. So I'm going to make a start. If you're cooking along, there's a short order of work at the bottom of the first sheet. So it's just going to start with the cupcakes. And cupcakes is obviously an American thing here. So, but we're going to go with the buns. So for and it's not Patty's Day, it's St. Patrick's Day, but we do call it Paddy's Day sometimes. Anyway, we tend to dye everything green, but that's the most we do. We don't do anything much more than that. Okay, but I'm going to time. So usually we use salted butter for everything, but today I'm using unsalted butter just for the bun mixture, buns or cupcakes. So sugar, so just fantastic. So I'm Kira by day, and I have a cooking school in Wicklow, and my husband is from Wicklow, so he drives me here, but it's only about 20 minutes from where I grew up. We're all very close to each other in Ireland. It's all very nearby. So I'm only from up the road really, but we have this cooking school here in Wicklow. And
we lost your picture.
Okay, I'm just going to mix these together, the butter and the sugar first, okay? So that's what creaming it. And caster sugar, you see, it's just a finer sugar than granulated sugar. Okay, so just beat them together just till they're nicely creamed together. That's just the butter and the sugar. And then I'm going to add in 2 eggs. So I'm using large eggs. We have our new hens arriving at the weekend. So at the moment, these are supermarket bought eggs. Oh, Roman's telling me to slow down. I'm flying along. Sell out of your dish.
I think everything froze.
And then the second. So I never would use it out of my bowl. I always crack one off the other. Only one breaks, and then it doesn't cause shell to go into your dish. Okay, so I'll be in the second one. So I wanted to try and do recipes this evening that that you may be able to recreate easily over there, because it's if I try to do some typical Irish food, I'm not sure would you be able to get the ingredients to hand. So this is just an Irish version of the recipes. Sorry if you hear noises in the background, it's just because it's our kids' bedtime. So we're like, get up to bed. It's very late. Okay, so I'm going to put in this the flour now, and this is 140 grams of self-raising flour. If you're just using it, I think you may call it all-purpose flour. Then you might need to use some sort of raising agent, which is included in this flour. So this is putting in 140 grams of self-raising flour, we call it. So you might need some baking powder. Oh, you use cups. I was working with filming chicken recipes all day today, and we were using cup sizes too, and I don't have a clue cup sizes. So cup size is what we use to measure our brass, not for our food. So yeah, I don't know cup sizes. You may need to convert from grams to cups. I think there's 250 grams in a cup, but I'm not sure. So this is a very simple version of just the bun. I call this a Madeira mix. I'm going to add a little bit of green colouring to the food because for St. Patrick's Day. So I just have a little bit of green food dye, which you don't need to do, obviously. Sorry, that's the end of the electric mixer now. Amazing how Zoom has brought us all closer together, but I have apologies if there's issues with the sound. Maybe there's bad weather in the Atlantic. Okay, so there's my nice green bun mixture. And I'm just going to obviously pop a little bit into each of my bun cases in my tin. So yeah, I was gone all day. I was filming chicken recipes somewhere else and just indoor. And I had some of these I prepared earlier. But we've twins who are 10. And I think some little fingers found some of my ones I prepared earlier while their daddy was working and I was working. So I have 2 left of my ones I prepared earlier. Is everything all right, Ronan?
Rena says, thank you for your effort. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you all.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. I think we're just looking forward to a day off work at this stage. There's nothing going on really that we can attend.
So someone's wondering, how does Facebook, are restaurants and businesses open in Ireland?
No, the schools went back today.
Since
First time since mid-December, our kids went back to school. No restaurants or pubs are open. No non-essential retail, so just the supermarkets. So yeah, full lockdown here.
Quiet St. Patrick's Day again. Second
Quiet St. Patrick's Day. Okay, there are my buns going in the oven 20 minutes, okay? And that's oven preheated to 160 fan. That's 180 if you're not using a fan. Okay, we'll move on. So we'll make the scones next. Scones, I don't know what you call it.
Linda's wondering, Ciara, do you do virtual classes normally? Is there a way we can follow you?
Yeah, I'm Ciara's Kitchen. So Ciara, C-I-A-R-A, Ciara's Kitchen. I do lots of classes a week, but on a Saturday afternoon, you're only 4 hours behind now, I think. I do a class every Saturday, 4 to 5 p.m. And they're fun. It's good crack, actually. Good crack. Crack is fun. And I do kids classes because I used to do it in the house, but now obviously you can't do that for the last year. So we've just done fully online, which is it's good. It's working out well, thank God. Okay, I'm going to start with the scones. So I'll be over here, Ronan. Is that all right? Okay, so the flours again. I hope these are ones that you can get. So these are just plain. I'm using plain flour, and I'm using some coarse brown flour. So half and half. So they're brown scones, but if you were to use all brown flour, they'd be very dense and very hard. Whereas mixing half and half the white flour, it just makes a much lighter mixture. I used to work for a restaurant called Avoca. I don't know, they're in a lovely Irish place, and they do lovely baking and things. There's a few in America, isn't there, Roman? Actually, it's owned by an American company now. So, but they're well known for their scones. So, I'm putting in 225 grams of each, so a total of 450 grams of flour. When the first lockdown happened, maybe the same last March, you could not buy flour in the supermarkets at all. Everyone went mad baking. So that's why I have these big, massive bags of flour now. I'm going to add a pinch of salt. Okay, so I use a sea salt. I never would use a table salt, so it's always a good sea salt. This is an English one actually, but it's nice. I should be using an Irish sea salt. I know. I know. I like the flakes rather than the grains. But I am adding in some Irish seaweed. I use Irish seaweed a lot in cooking. It's so good for you, seaweed. This is from a company called Wild Irish Seaweed, and it's from the Atlantic somewhere, so it's halfway between me and you. And you can order online from them, but seaweed's very nutritionally good for you. So I like to use it a lot. It doesn't give a huge amount of flavor here, a little bit of saltiness, but it's really nice. I say 1 teaspoon in the recipe, but 1 teaspoon, but I'm going to put in a little bit more. It's good for me and it's good for the Ronan, it's good for the kids. And then I'm going to put in some baking powder. So this will help them rise. Baking powder, a heaped teaspoon of that.
Is that called something else?
I don't know what this is called. I don't know. Baking powder.
Baking powder. Yeah, I know. Is brown flour the same as whole wheat flour?
Yeah, so whole wheat flour will be brown flour. Yeah, you were.
That's Maureen.
Yeah.
Hi, Maureen.
One of my best friends, Paul, married an American girl, so she helps me out sometimes with things. Because I was going to do some black pudding, but I don't think black pudding is available too well. So to that now I'm going to add some butter. Okay, so I have 110 grams of butter here, and this is salted butter. This is like good old Irish butter. You can't beat Irish butter. Well, so we think anyway. So now I want to rub in the butter with clean hands. I was working with chicken all day, don't worry, I wash my hands well. I'm going to just rub in this butter. Where a lot of people go wrong with scones is they overwork it completely and they knead it, thinking that they need it like a white yeast bread. But it's okay, I'm just rubbing in the flour, those breadcrumbs. So it's so nice. We're really excited about you guys joining in. I get, like last week there was a couple on from New York in my Saturday class, and I've had a few from Toronto. And then we get people from all over Europe. So we've had Austria and France, I think, the last few weeks. So we get a lot from the UK. They all tell me to the Austrian couple, they always tell me I talk too fast. So sorry, I get very giddy. I didn't always cook. I was in a marketing job for years, and then like 12 years ago I changed to cooking, and I went to a famous Irish cooking school called Ballymaloo. But I'm one of those people who now loves their job, thank God. Okay, so see there, I have rubbed the butter in so that it resembles fine breadcrumbs. If you're concerned you haven't rubbed it in well enough, you could shake your bowl and all the lumps that you haven't worked in rise to the top. Okay, so just give it a shake and then you can see, oh, you need to rub those little bits in.
There's a question for you, Ciara.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anita's wondering, what is your favorite dish to cook?
I like cooking a lot of Indian food. So I think I like Indian the best. I do like cooking all sorts of curries and things, and I like cooking fish. Cook a lot of fish. So we get great fish, obviously here. So yeah, we cook a lot of fish too. But my favorite dish of all time would be just fresh basil pesto with pasta. That's my desert island dish.
What Indian dish is your favorite there?
I love an Indian dish called Bengali salmon. It's a salmon. It's like poached in a mustard sauce. Really nice. It's very quick and easy. Okay, so I put in another egg in there, and then you can use a fork, or you can use your hands again. I'm gonna mix that in quickly, and then I'm going to add in the flour or the milk. You may not need all the milk. I say 300 milliliters. So I'm just going to put in maybe 4/5 of that amount, and then see how we are. But like this would be, my granny would have made these now. Like growing up, I'd always remember her, and she wouldn't even use the bowl. She'd just make the mix on her oilcloth, tablecloth, and cook it over the fire. They're Irish. She did actually. She had this big cast iron pot over the fire, and oh my God, her bread was the best.
Did your granny, did she live in the States?
Oh, my granny did live in Boston, and like she was such an Irish granny. She was a farmer's wife, and she lived in Boston for about 5 years. And you know what? She was so, because she ate very ordinary food like bacon and cabbage and everything. But she came back from the States and she loved peanut butter. So she always had peanut butter, which we would have all thought was so fancy. And she always had jelly, which is Jello, is it? Okay, so upended that then onto a bit of a floured work surface. And this is where you have to go really easy with them. This is where you have to go really easy with your kneading. Okay, so you're really just pulling it together in a ball. I wonder if many of you are cooking along. If you are, I'm probably going at a rate of knots.
But things being recorded anyway.
Yeah. I'm concerned because we started late. We got the hour, we got the time wrong. We thought, oh, kids will be in bed, grand. So we were an hour wrong. We were sitting on the couch. I was just staying around and had made dinner. And then poor Brooke was ringing. Where are you? Okay. I never timed the buns records. They're grand. So I'm just going to make these small. That's only a small little cutter because I quite like making things quite small. Sometimes I use a tiny cutter, and then I would put the little tiny scones onto a skewer, a wooden skewer, sitting over like a bowl of soup or stew or something, and they look really good. I'm not going to stamp all these out because it's just gets boring to watch them. And if you keep a little puddle of flour to the side, you can just kind of flour your cutter. And you don't need a cutter, you can use a cup, or just make sure you don't have them too high. They should be, you know, about half the diameter of your stone. So what I do with these, I put half in the oven and I put half in the freezer. And then I cook the ones in the freezer straight from frozen when I want them. So I can put 2 on in the morning for my breakfast or pop them in the school lunches. So yeah, they cook so well from frozen, which is great. I'm only going to stamp out the ones here in the first row. You don't really need a rolling pin. You can just flatten it down with your hand. Of course, you could make one big loaf of bread rather than individual scones. Okay, so I'm just going to push that over there and get my little baking tray. So,
sorry, Kira, there's a question from Alice. How long will they last after you freeze them?
So I keep them for about 6 weeks in my freezer.
Really?
I put the the baking, like I have a small baking tray. So like, don't look at my freezer now, it's a mess. So they're frozen, okay? So then once they're frozen, I pop them into freezer bags and then I bake them as I need them. Yeah, they freeze perfectly. And they keep for about 6 weeks in there. So obviously they're frozen now, those ones. I'll pop them into a freezer bag and then they won't get that freezer burn on them, which looks awful. It's still fine to eat when things have that freezer burn, but you know, it looks burnt. Do you know that look? And it's not very appealing. Okay, Ronan hates when I bake. Ronan's my husband, by the way, in case you're wondering who I'm talking to. He's over there. And he
Head of lighting and sound.
Head of lighting and sound and washing up and stress. Poor Ronan.
Very messy chef.
He hates when I bake. He usually follows me around with a cloth in his hand, but
Worth it in the end.
you got to clean as you go. Look,
That's it.
leading by example here.
Any other questions for Kira?
So, oh God, I never repeated the question. So it's just how long did they freeze for? So yeah, you kind of got me. They freeze for 6 weeks.
What are you doing now?
So I'm just beating an egg to brush a little on top of my scones. Just a little beaten egg. Now, I don't always do this if I'm cooking them for the family, but this is to make them look a bit nicer. And then I'm going to pop some seeds on the top. So I'm using poppy seeds, but sometimes I use sunflower seeds or any seeds at all. I'm just using these little poppy seeds. And these take about 15 to 20 minutes in the oven. They're really cute though, and they're really tasty.
Question from Beth.
Hi, Beth.
Can you put raisins in the recipe, Kira?
Yeah, but I'd leave out the seaweed if you're putting raisins in. I don't know whether I mix the seaweed and the raisins.
Or dried fruit?
Yeah, same. I put dried fruit in instead of but I'd leave out the seaweed. Popping them in just like that. Okay. Super. Now, where are we at? It's all going swimmingly well now, now that we've started. Okay, I just want to make some, I'm going to serve those brown scones with a little bit of lovely Irish smoked salmon and some creme fraiche that I'm going to mix with a bit of lemon zest.
Kira, what's the temperature of the scones in?
Oh, so the scones have gone in at the same temperature. I should probably, no, they'll be all right. Yeah, 160 fan. Do you use fan ovens?
160 fan.
160 fan, that's 180 not fan. That's probably gas mark about 4.
Yeah. Someone's nodding. So,
Oh, you can see people there.
the lady nodding, so yeah. So, Judy was nodding. So we go with Judy.
Judy was, okay, this is the creme fraiche, okay. Jim, you can get creme fraiche, can't you? You could use a mascarpone or a cream cheese too. This is quite soft. It's just a bit like the consistency of cream beaten up, okay? And sometimes to that, then I might add a little bit of horseradish sauce, and then I would spoon that on the scones and then top it a little bit of roast beef. And that's quite a nice way to serve them too. But I'm gonna, because it's going with some smoked salmon, I'm gonna put a little bit of lemon zest in. So these are just regular lemons from the supermarket, but I wash them because they've got a wax on them. So I wash them and I just run it under a cold tap and then give it a scrub with a clean tea towel. And I'm going to zest in a bit of the zest. Ronan, where did you put my microplane? Ronan made dinner and then he... Oh, don't worry, I'll use another one.
I think it's in the dishwasher.
I would never put these in the dishwasher. I'd say you all have a microplane. Well, they're an American tool, but can't live without them as a chef.
Yeah.
So a bit of the lemon zest, and when you're zesting anything citrus, it's just the coloured part of the fruit, never down to the pith, because that tastes quite bitter. And lemon zest is magic. It highlights other flavours, so it brings out flavours a bit like salt does. Quite often I'd add in lemon zest at the end of lots of dinners and things, just to, instead of salt. Just mix that through the creme fraiche. Okay, so it's just a bit lemony now. It's lovely.
Kira,
Yes.
Sorry, Mandy's wondering, in Ireland, do you serve scones warm when serving to guests or cold?
Cold. I always serve them cold. This is, sorry, Mandy was wondering if you serve the scones warm or cold, and I always serve them cold.
There's nothing like a warm scone.
There's nothing like a warm scone out of the oven. Yeah, you could. So you can pop them back in the oven for a minute or two just to heat them up. But certainly with the creme fraiche, you just run right off them if they were anyway warm. But like a sweet scone now with sweet scone with a bit of cream and jam.
Strawberry jam.
You don't call jam, do you? What's jam?
Mistake?
Yeah.
They do.
Okay. These are some I made earlier. Funny that the twins didn't rob the scones. They robbed all the cupcakes.
Jam is jam. Kira?
Jam is okay. I've got an auntie in Las Vegas. I'm back. But I'm Aunt Mary in Las Vegas. We'll have to go and visit her at some stage when we can all travel again, hopefully soon. We are definitely going back to America where we can travel again. We promised the twins we'll bring them. So I'm just going to top. I'm just going to use them all as bases. Okay, so You right? Oh, push it over where? Okay. So I'm just gonna, with 2 spoons, put a little bit in each.
A dollop.
A dollop on each. Oh,
Priscilla,
so you could serve them with tea, but I think they're more like a little pre-dinner nibble that we would have here. So I would like them now with some bubbles or with a little glass of white wine. But sometimes they're nice just as part of a lunch. So if my mum was coming for lunch or something now, and she wouldn't have a huge appetite these days, so I would just give her a few of them and nice mug of tea. She would be happy out. But to me, this is a really nice organic Irish smoked salmon, Nolan's. I've just slivers.
hang on.
Yeah.
I disappeared for a second.
Why do I disappear?
Oh, no. Can you suggest Katie to serve besides salmon, Kira?
So the ones that you don't have to cook, I like smoked mackerel. Everybody smoked mackerel. We get lovely smoked mackerel in the supermarket here, and it's usually with a crust of black peppercorns. That would be really nice on top of this. What else, Ronan? He's just a pot washer. Yeah, but you're my chief tester too. Smoked salmon. Yeah, I probably would. I don't.
Mackerel, you said, didn't you?
Yeah, smoked mackerel. I love, or trout. Oh, I love smoked trout. But I know I'm saying all the smoked fish now. But I love smoked trout. I don't think they. Yeah, you really need a bit of the smoky flavor, I think, for these. If not, I try them with the beef another time. And with the beef, mix a bit of horseradish to the creme fraiche, and it's really lovely. And sometimes I make them veg. On the top and the horseradish, and then just gonna pop a few chives on the top. These are herb shears, so they're just good for cutting herbs. These are just some fresh chives. With a bit of scallion or spring onion is lovely on top. Moss, I never took out Ronan's other name is Moss, and the plate with all my running around.
Okay, the platter term,
yeah, please, the timber one. So yeah, that's them. It's a very quick version of them, but they're so tasty. Ronan's just gone to get me a plate. In case you have a question, I'll just give him 1 sec. He'll be back. He's a great assistant. Oh yeah, thanks, Ronan. I used the wooden one. I used that one. Do you know what else we'd have with these? Is a nice pint of Guinness. Ronan's dying to get out for a pint of Guinness.
The bar's open.
When the bar is open, I think I just see flight. Yeah. So when you're serving up, you serve in odd numbers. Okay, so odd numbers rather than even numbers always look better on the plate. Ronan, you're tidying everything up for me.
Okay. Yeah. Okay,
so yeah, they'd be nice with a pint of Guinness or a black velvet. What's that? Half Guinness, half champagne. Okay, I want to make the frosting for the buns. So 1 second, just for the 2 buns that are left. There's a daughter in the room now. I can kind of, I need my little, these things, so I need to wash them. So sorry, one sec, I'm just washing something. Is there any more questions there, Ronan, while I'm watching these? I forgot that I'd need these, my electric mixer twice. So the frosting, anyway, this frosting is the version I make that covers 12 buns for my kids. But it's not going to pipe 12, it would only pipe 3. So, but I just try and cut back on a bit of the frosting quantity for the little ones.
Question from Amanda Kira, can you use salted butter if you like things salty?
Yeah, you can. I always use salted butter. I just know it's not proper to use salted butter, so I have to say I use unsalted. But yeah.
Helen asks, the icing, could orange or another citrus be used instead of lemon?
Yeah, orange, but just don't get too much of the pith in of the orange because it will just be kind of lumpy then. But you don't need, you know, if you're putting in food coloring, you probably don't need too much lemon. And if you don't want to put in citrus, just put in a teaspoon of water, warm water, and that will do the same trick. Okay, so I have 55 grams. Now it is unsalted butter. Actually, I'm using unsalted butter and not just pretending. I know you'd never notice the difference, but it is unsalted. But yes, I would always use salted for this because I like the hint of salt in a recipe, and I hate when a recipe says use unsalted butter and a step later it says add a pinch of salt. I just don't see the point. Unsalted butter is much more expensive here than salted butter, so I just don't see the point of buying it really. The icing sugar I'm going to sieve in actually because it can be quite lumpy. I think you might call icing sugar something else. This is a really fine sugar. I'm putting in 110 grams of that. I never thought until you said it there, Ronan, about cup sizes. Yes, it's a good idea to sieve in the icing sugar. You can beat your butter salt first, but I always put in the castor or the icing sugar with the butter and beat it and just cuts back on a step then. Can you switch that on, please? Yeah. Some other lovely Irish dishes. That there's one, I'm from Dublin, there's a recipe called coddle, and it's just like a stew, but you make it with sausages. But it takes a bit longer than, you know, the half an hour or the 40 minutes. So, but there's some great Irish recipes. There's a few on my Instagram page now. There's one for the coddle, and it's really good, isn't it, Ronan? And what was the other one? I was going to put up another Irish recipe. There'll be few now. All the Irish people will be sharing probably Irish recipes over the next few days. But we think chowder is, yeah, I love. Ooh, this is why he doesn't like me baking. We think chowder is Irish, but it's actually French, but a good seafood chowder. Okay, you think this is never going to come together, but then it does. My bowl is a bit big. It's not flour, it's sugar. Even worse. Sorry. I'll put in a little bit of lemon juice to help bring it all together. Poor Ronan's getting a blasted out of it. My bowl's too big. See, and then just like magic, it just happens, comes together. So go easy with the lemon juice. You really only need probably a teaspoon. Sorry, there was spring sugar everywhere. My bowl was way too big. And then I'm going to add a little bit of green to that too. You see my green there, Ronan? There. Because we just dye everything green.
This all makes you hungry, especially on the East Coast for dinner time.
Oh, yeah, I know. Oh, look at that. Good Irish green. So like I'll make pancakes probably on Wednesday morning now and dye the pancake batter green, and whatever I can dye green on Patrick's Day, I'll dye green. And then we'll have like something like champ with our dinner. Like champ is just mashed potato with a bit of scallion going through it. And that's really nice. So yeah, we'll keep it Irish on Wednesday. So you can pipe these on, or I don't pipe it on because it puts too much on it for the kids. I'm going to take those ones out of the oven. So yeah, the buns, I left them in a bit long actually. They're not as green as you expect them to be when you put the green into the bun mixture, because they form the crust, brown crust on top, but when you break in, then the inside of the sponge is green. So, but these are, I didn't bake them for quite as long yesterday. And there's only 2 left.
Here, Patricia says, I'm originally from Ireland and so happy to watch your class. Happy St. Patrick's
Ah, Patricia. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you too.
What part of Ireland?
What part of Ireland are you from? So I spoon on the icing now. You can pop it on with the nozzle and an icing bag, but I just me and the kids do this together, and we just spoon on a bit, and there's a bit less for them to eat because they just they just be full of sugar. So I just get them to do a little thin layer on the top.
Emily's wondering, what is a typical St. Patrick's Day dinner in Ireland?
So bacon and cabbage will be up there. We love bacon and cabbage, or coddle. So coddle is I like coddle, the sausage kind of stew. What else would we eat around a lot?
Is that on your is the coddle recipe on your Facebook page as well?
Yeah, well, I think it's on Facebook. It's on my Instagram anyway. Coddle. What else do we like around for St. Patrick's Day? Bacon and cabbage really would be the real one. I did bacon and cabbage last Patrick's Day. Also, we often just do a nice champ with a nice steak and a bit of champ on the side, or fillet steak. I did that at the weekend with a whiskey pepper sauce. So I just made fried up some steaks, and I put a bit of deglazed the pan then with a good bit of Irish whiskey, and then I put in loads of black pepper and a bit of beef stock and cream. That was nice too. So yeah, we certainly spoil ourselves a bit in St. Patrick's Day anyway. We'd have a nice dinner. But our food is all, I suppose we're all eating pretty much the same all around the world nowadays. But we try and go back to our roots a bit for St. Patrick's Day and just have something more traditional. Like little daisies. Sorry, there's only 2 to show you. The rest are eaten. So there's the 2 cupcakes, and then your Irish scones, lemony creme fraiche, and some lovely Irish smoked salmon and some chives. And our lovely green cupcakes for St. Patrick's Day. So they're the 2 recipes for this evening. I hope you enjoyed it. See there now, they're green when I break in. Can you see that? Sorry? So the inside of the sponge is nice and green, and it's kind of I always think this crust is kind of orange anyway for our flag.
Beth is wondering if pubs are open, would they be busy St. Patrick's?
Oh my God, the pubs will be black with people on St. Patrick's Day if the pubs were open.
So most families wouldn't, like, you wouldn't go to the pub.
It's usually probably the night before. You go to the, like at our age anyway, you'd go maybe the night before, but then yeah, the pubs will be packed on St. Patrick's Day. But what will happen now on Wednesdays, like all the families just be out for a nice walk now, and
Because we can't go into each other's homes or anything.
the pubs, we can't go into each other's homes, so we'll just stick the four of us to go for a nice walk. And there, some of the pubs are doing takeaway pints, so you know, and some of the pubs deliver pints, so we might do something like that on St. Patrick's Day, get a couple of pints of Guinness delivered to the house. And then we're going to do an online show, the four of us, at the
You're
night.
not doing the show, like someone
Kids
else.
are off school again. They're only back today, and they're off on Wednesdays for a day's holidays. Yeah, so we'll have a nice day anyway.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.